Okay, today on the show, I'm delighted to have my first ever wrestling manager. It's Mr. Chazz Moretti. Chaz, how are you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking, Mo. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I've seen your podcast before and all kinds of good things to say about what you guys do over at Cheap Heat Productions. And like I said, I'm just happy to be here. And God, I'm honored that I'm the very first manager to be on the podcast. And the funny part about it is, whenever I enter a territory or a new promotion, and ring announcer or whatnot will announce me as a manager, I'll just lose it because I started out as a sports agent. So I'm always happy to tell the ring announcer what I think a manager is. And a manager is a filthy, disgusting, flesh-eating parasite, the likes of which I will never fully explain. But I'm a sports agent. Huge reaction each and every time. Cheap heat, easy stuff.
How did you get into this area of, first of
I
all,
got into
wrestling?
professional wrestling by accident. I had worked for my uncle who owned his own sports agency, and I started out, God, running up the scale, starting out from being an office boy on up, and I never became a lawyer, so I didn't really do much. I had lawyers to do the contracts. I was a negotiator. I used to
Mhm.
like making deals. I'm going back to the early mid '90s when MLS was first starting out. I had a number of players that I represented. I can't name names because of confidentiality, but that was a lot of fun because that league was new. And so I
Mm.
just went in and spoke with the general managers. I had never even bothered with, uh, HR or corporate or any of that nonsense because each team was autonomous in how they signed players at the time. And so I did a lot of work with them. I did some work with some musical acts, and just learned. And then, God, it was summer of 2010. One of the guys in the firm says, "Hey, I'm going to a wrestling show. You want to come?" And I hadn't seen wrestling since the '80s, to be honest.
Mhm.
I followed WCW during the Monday Night Wars, but never to the extent that I was when I was a fan growing up in the '70s and '80s. And so
Mhm.
we went to the show, and it was fun for what it was. And I started heckling one of the heels, and I got under his skin to the point where he says, "I'm not talking to you anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, don't go away, mad." And when I got done, they had this deal where at their big show of the year, this was POW Entertainment in Chicago, and
Oh.
they had this deal that at their big show of the year, you could sponsor to walk a wrestler down to the ring. So my buddy from the firm, his nephew was a wrestler on the show, and his sister said to me, "Well, Moneybags, who are you going to sponsor?" And I threw her $100, and I said, "I don't know these people. You go ahead and pick one. I could care less. I'll donate to the cause." And she wound up picking Melanie Cruz. So I wound up escorting Melanie Cruz to the ring at that show. And, I went there dressed as I'm normally dressed. Well, on a Sunday, I'm not dressed that way, but I went there dressed in a suit straight from the office, went out there and did my thing with her, walked her down to the ring, took a picture and left. Next thing you know, I get to the tunnel because the tunnel had to lead back to the seats. And there's the promoter and the wrestler that I was heckling and asked me if I wanted to get involved in the business. And I said, "Well, wait a minute. You mean to wrestle?" At the time, I was 43 years old and 325 US pounds. I was going nowhere. I was out of shape. I was, going through a rough patch in life. And I said, "Wait a minute, as a wrestler? No, I'm going to catch a heart attack and die." And he said, "No, no, no. How about a manager?" So he got something there. So we met a couple of days later. I signed a contract, paid for my tuition for the school. When I got to the school, little did I know that you had to train to be a wrestler in order to be a manager. So
Mm.
I started training. I learned how to run the ropes. I learned how to bump. I learned positioning, timing, psychology again. Because psychology, watching as a fan, you could pick up on it, but you're not going to understand it like you are when you're training.
Yeah.
And little by little, over the course of about roughly about 5 months, I got my first match, and the promoter, who's also my trainer, Jim Blaze from POW Entertainment, had enough faith in me to allow me to manage Melanie Cruz. And my first match was Melanie Cruz against Serena Deeb. So here, you get thrown into the fire your first
Mhm.
match, in that you're managing against a well-known name, and make sure your timing's right and make sure everything is going along. And your persona develops over time. Everybody's style develops over time, and mine did. When I first went out there, I was stiff as a plank. I looked like Frankenstein's younger brother. It was just hilarious. I look back at the films now, and I'm like, who is that guy? Because that's not me. That's not who I am at the moment. But, it was from where I started out. Now, I've been blessed to work with a lot of independent talent across the country, a number of which have gone on to national promotions like NWA, AEW, and WWE. And, I got to manage with and against a number of former names that were, on the tail end of their careers. And it's been a great experience, but, nothing that I've done so far. And I've worked some big shows. I've worked Blizzard Brawl. I've worked Wrestle Rage. I've worked Bruce City Wrestling's Ring of Honor or Ring of Fellowship shows. I've worked the NWA's Jingle Brawl at the Ocean Center in Daytona a couple of years ago, and that building is massive. So that was a different experience all the way around. But nothing that I did was equal to the experience that I had this past October in Norwich, working for the World Association of Wrestling. I mean, that was an experience that if I never do another show, that's probably the crowning achievement of my career thus far. To work Fightmare, it was a tremendous honor.
What was it that was so good about that night?
I'm sorry?
What was it that was so special about that event for you?
Fightmare was probably the largest card on the European circuit this year up till the present day. I'm not trying to take away from any other promotions in the continent, but Fightmare was a huge deal. I mean, you had Zach Zodiac versus Roy Knight. Saraya was the special guest referee. You had a stellar lineup up and down the card, including the match that I was involved in where I managed Bullet against Niwa. And those two kids are both up and coming. I mean, it would be a shame if any of the worldwide promotions slept on these two because they're not in America. I mean, they're phenomenal talents, and we had a great match, and unfortunately didn't come out on the winning end of the stick. But whatever, that wasn't my fault. There was fans getting involved and throwing things which they're not supposed to do. But they get away with it every so often. And, we got up on the short end of the stick. But, okay, whatever. The WAW faithful know who I am now. And they know that I'll be back. And they know that, I'll always give them their money's worth. Let's put it that way. But, as far as the overall experience, just the professionalism. I mean, everybody from the Friday night one-woman show with Saraya to the Saturday morning meet and greet at the Performance Center to the actual show itself at the Norfolk Showgrounds, everybody was dressed in a suit. Everybody was ultra professional. Everybody knew their place on the card, and they weren't going to try to, do the typical independent thing and try to steal the show. I mean, they understood how to get their match over without usurping their place in the card. And I mean, and to see legends like Ricky Knight work, to see Sweet Saraya Knight, who I managed 10 years ago in the United States on her second tour. We had a show together in Chicago, and I mean, we tore the house down. We actually started a riot. We had two police squad cars and an ambulance called because we threw the place up for grabs. And, I tried to warn those fans at POW. I said, look, I can't control her. All I can do is control her bookings. I'm not responsible if she beats the tar out of you. And sure enough, one or two of them had to get in her face, and Saraya responded like Saraya Knight can only respond. And next thing you know, here come the boys in blue, wanting to know what's going on. So that was fun. But again, they treated me like $1 million at WAW. Can't say enough good things. I mean, my buddy Scotty Edgar, who's a referee there, picked me up from the transportation area, brought me to Norwich, looked after me while I was there, had me stay at his house. I mean, these are all experiences that you wouldn't expect from a typical wrestling show or whatever. Usually you're left to fend for yourself and show up at the venue. But I mean, the Knights took great care of me. And I don't talk about what my pay was, but let's just put it this way. They paid me more than I expected. And I'm eternally grateful for that, and merch sales and including me in the meet and greet and whatnot. I was only one of 4 Americans on the show. I mean, it was myself, Chelsea Green, Matt Cardona, and Sean Hernandez. So, I mean, I was only one of 4 Americans on the card, and I was the only manager on the card. So, again, I feel humbled and I feel honored that they respected my talent enough to give me that kind of position of prominence on their card. And there's nothing that I wouldn't do for the Knights. And if they wanted me back, I'd be back at a moment's notice.
Yeah. You'd like to kind of get back into Europe, maybe to do more shows we were talking about before, maybe sometime.
Oh yeah, I mean,
in
I
Ireland,
welcome
parts of the UK,
I welcome
wherever.
any promotion in Europe that would like to book me. I would love to go to Ireland, love to go to Scotland, Italy, because I'm not fully bilingual. Because when you're in the States, you lose your Italian if you don't use it. And since my grandmother's passed on in 2003, I don't use my Italian very much. I mean, I get by and I understand it. And, people can't talk about me because I understand perfectly what they're saying and I'll shoot back with the good words. But, I would love to go out there and work a show in Italy, work a show in Germany or France or wherever. I mean, I've got my passport. I'm travel ready and fully trained. And, I'm ready to show the world what Chazz Moretti's all about.
Yeah. When you say you're fully trained, how much training and psychology goes into that role of being a manager? Talk to me about that.
Well, to be a manager, it's a unique mindset. I mean, you have to have enough confidence in yourself to not let anything bother you. And you're going to get setbacks and you're going to have your ups and downs like any other worker in the business, but you're going to doubt yourself at times because, the biggest no class, no sense criticism you're going to get is, oh, you're just a manager. Oh, really? I want to see you do what I do. Okay, you got to bump your rear end off to get a reaction. I get a reaction by doing this. I could turn my head and get a reaction that would take you 3 bumps to get. But, on the other hand, there are managers that try to overshadow the show. It's all about me, 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 me. Well, if it's all about you, get your big ass in the ring and just wrestle. Do it yourself if you're that good. If it's all about you. It's never about me. It's about us. It's about me and the clients that I represent. And why I'm successful is I've understood that dynamic long ago. I am there to ensure that my clients have the fairest opportunity to win. And if I got to bend a rule or two to make that happen or, pay off a zebra, oh, well, I mean, I didn't amass a personal fortune in the millions not to use it.
Will we have a look at your promo video that you sent me? Give us a kind of a taste of what you're all about.
I'm sorry, Mo, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, I just said, will we have a look at your promo video to give people a kind of a taste of what you're all about?
Let's take a look. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those that don't know, let me introduce myself once again. I am Chazz Moretti. I am one of the premier manager agents in all of professional sports, especially professional wrestling. How lucky these people are that Chazz Moretti appeared tonight.
I'm going to tell you people once and once only, if you do not show the proper respect that a man like Bullet deserves, we are leaving and we are never coming back.
When you have Chazz Moretti on your card, you are the very best in the lost art of professional wrestling managers.
How does it feel right now? How do you feel standing next to, actually talking to, actually holding a microphone in front of the one and only, the great Chazz-manian double Chazz Moretti?
Your fans at your promotion deserve the very best that wrestling can offer. That's why you need a man like Chazz Moretti. I got a client roster from here to Mars, from the agents of the stars. It's not bragging if it's true, so all day long you're going to see what I do. as I said before, I'm a man of means, I'm the toast of both coasts, and I will definitely be an asset to your promotion. Chazz Moretti, contact me. Let's do business.
Very cool piece of work there. I was just saying.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I got to give credit for putting that video together to Samantha Cushman. Sammy J is one of the biggest WAW fans, and a real credit to the business. And she helped launch a number of Twitch platforms for Soraya and for Zach and for Ricky and Soraya and Sweet Soraya. So I gotta it's a little weird now that she's not Paige anymore. I gotta sort of separate the two names, but
Yeah.
all good in the end. And Sammy did a tremendous job in putting that video together, and I appreciate it. And everything on there is just genuine. It's me. It's you can't. They're right when they say you can't teach the it factor. And I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I'm very comfortable in front of people. Most folks are.
Is your wrestling character manager almost a version of yourself in real life, but just turned up a little bit? Would you say? A lot of people say that.
It's 95% me, turned up on steroids. I mean, the funny part about it is probably the only thing I won't do that my persona will do is I won't break rules, take shortcuts, or break the law. You ask him that, he's going to tell you, I'll do whatever I have to make sure we win and get paid. So, I mean, there's subtle differences, but your wrestling persona is an extension primarily of who you are. And, like I said, from when I was a kid in school and whatnot, I had no problem getting up in front of crowds. I had no problem getting up in front of people. I had no problem performing in theater. What I'm not is a stand-up comedian. Okay, I refuse to go down that road. And so many, no disrespect, but so many stand-up comedians think that they can manage and they can't. And vice versa. There's so many workers that think that they can cross over into stand-up comedy and they can't. They need to, just leave it where it is and be done with it, because it's not a translatable set of experiences or set of skills. I mean, you've got to know pretty much what you're doing out there. And like I said, I can wrestle. I can hold my own. Am I a world champion wrestler? No, never going to be. I got started at 43. I'm 55. Okay. I'm happy with the position that I am in the sport. I'm happy with the level of success that I've had. I want to do more. Everybody thinks that, you're going to just walk away for what? I haven't showed the rest of the world what I can do yet. I haven't shown the national promotions that are sleeping on me what I can do yet. And, here, am I saying that I'm going to, or I need to get signed by the WWE or the NWA or AEW or MLW or any of the rest? No, I'm not being so bold to say, they're going to book me tomorrow. No, but I'm going to send my stuff in and hopefully get that shot. And if I don't get it, fine. Then you know what? Like I told my wife, we'll just take it year by year and reevaluate, and we'll take the bookings that make sense. Right now I'm a mainstay at Pro Wrestling Mid-South in the Memphis territory, and I have a load of fun just causing all kinds of havoc down there. But I got caught, and I'm serving a 90-day suspension. But that's all right.
Yes,
Memphis is gorgeous in the springtime. So when my suspension is up in 90 days, it'll be April, May. I'll be more than willing to go back down to Memphis in the nice weather and cause all kind of problems down there. I was lucky enough to get booked this year in New Orleans, just outside of New Orleans, Morgan City, Louisiana, for Gulf State Wrestling. That was a great experience. I mean, and again, they put 1,000 people in the auditorium every single month without a quote unquote name wrestler. So, I mean, credit to that promotion for knowing how to extend their fan base and knowing how to draw. But I was happy enough to help them. And, what's really nice about social media, people like to rag at it and talk only about, people posting negative things or lewd or just, things of an unsavory nature. But if you use it for promotion, it does extend. I mean, it does promote, it does get your name out there worldwide. I had a fan come up to me in Morgan City, and she said it right in front of my wife, which I thought was hilarious. And she said, you know, I'm so glad you're working here because I know you. I've seen you on Facebook. You know, again, it's a testament to there is a good, powerful part to social media that people either don't utilize or don't know how to utilize. You know, enough with the politics. You're never going to change an election by whining about it online. Enough with the politics. Enough with the, enough with the overtly sexual posts that you think are funny that other people look at it and go, what are you doing? You know, if you're going to project, you're your own brand. If you're going to project yourself like a clown, then that's how you're going to be perceived. You know, if for nothing else, when I decide to finally hang it up and walk away from this great sport that we love, I pride myself on the fact that when people hear my name or people see my stuff that's still on YouTube or wherever, they're going to say that, you know, Chazz Moretti was a professional. Chazz Moretti was a guy that came out here to do his job and do it to the best of his ability. You know, Chaz gave us our money's worth. Those are the things I'm looking for. I mean, you know, at this point, it's as much about creating memories as it is about, you know, creating income. I created income. I'm a millionaire many times over. Do I need a second or third income? No, I don't. I do this because I enjoy it. I do this because I love it. And I also do it because I get paid quite well. So, I mean, it's the best of all worlds for me.
If you could pick one living wrestler at the moment to manage, who would it be?
One that I have not yet managed that I would absolutely love to manage is Thomas Latimer. I think he's got the complete package in terms of he understands both the European and American style of wrestling. He understands the Japanese strong style and where to insert that, where not to insert that. And, at the risk of upsetting Nick Aldis, well, I don't care. I don't like Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis doesn't like me, so who cares? Thomas Latimer was Her Majesty's favorite wrestler. Sorry, Nick. You can be the national treasure all you want, but Latimer was Her Majesty's favorite wrestler.
Look, if people want to follow you on social media, where's the best place to get it? If you got the
they can follow me on Facebook at Chazz Moretti. The only accounts that I will not, and I mean absolutely will not entertain, are those robot accounts that I know are robot accounts, posting pictures of models that have two friends, nobody mutual with you. Yeah, they get blocked right away. Otherwise, I pretty much accept anybody. I'm also on Twitter at RealChazzM1, and I'm on Instagram at ChazzM319. So you can catch me on any of those platforms. Be more than happy to interact with the fans. I'm more than happy to announce things that are in the future. And one of the things that I have coming up in the future is in July of next year, July of 2023, I am promoting Zach Zodiac on a 2-week U.S. tour. And we've got a number of dates booked, a number of different events booked that are going to be really good for Zach and helping to get him more of the recognition that he so richly deserves. And of course, it doesn't hurt that he's going to have me in his corner. So we'll go from there. But again, promoters out in Europe, I'm reasonable. I'm easy to negotiate with. Feel free to hit me up. Like I said, my first priority in Europe is always WAW. That's now my European home. But I would love to work in other parts of England. I would love to work in Ireland, Scotland, like I said, Germany, Italy, France, wherever. So I mean, as I say in my reel and in my highlight promos and whatnot, let's do business.
Yeah, Chaz, excellent. Thank you so much for your time today, man. I wish you all the best and hopefully get to see you over here in Ireland at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, fans, if you want to see Chazz Moretti, if you've seen Fightmare and you want to see more of what I can bring to your promotion and to your show, hit your promoter up and let them know. I'm ready and willing.